Shalom. All praises due to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rechak Kwadash. Shalom to the elect, Akyal dead news work in sincerity and truth, not for vainglory, in season, out of season. Shalom to the elect, women, sons and daughters of you so-called Negroes, West Indian Haitians, Latinos, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, scattered through the four corners of the earth, which are the elect of the nation of Israel. Alright, I just want to bring some out on the heathens, because it's not just the so-called white man that's going into slavery. It's going to be the heathen nations as well. Okay, now the so-called white man going to get it more serious, more severe slave labor than the heathens, but the heathens are going to get slave labor as well. Okay, so let's just go to it. This is Psalms 83. It says it's a song of Psalms of Asaph. Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh. So, he was talking about these heathen nations that, came against the nation of Israel, which are your so-called Negroes, West Indian Haitians, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, okay? He was talking about you. Alright, so it says, you said keep not silence on them. Okay, it says, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Yeah, so all these nations hate us, man. You go in your various neighborhoods and, you deal with the hatred of these heathen nations, you had the situation with the Chinese guy, whatever. They chased him out, a black man throughout the store, and they shot him down. They follow you in the store, they treat you like shit. The Arabs sleep with your women, because your women are weak, and they'll do anything for a pack of cigarettes, and, so they'll sleep with the Arabs. So, these heathen nations, they set up in your neighborhoods, the black, Latino, Native Americans neighborhoods, and they set up Chinese restaurants and have liquor stores and so forth like that, and they will, have business in your neighborhoods, and that's a crime in itself, okay? And why is it a crime? Because they're making money off of you, Like the scriptures say, Lazarus, and the dogs licked his womb. The dogs licked Lazarus' womb, toils and hardship, and these heathen nations got it over you, by setting up businesses in the black, Latino, and Native Americans neighborhoods. It says, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Yeah, so they hate you, all right? And I don't have to go into a whole breakdown of how they hate you, all right? It says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, which are, thy people are the Israelites, you so-called Negroes, West Indian Haitians, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indian Haitians. Here it is, Bush, and not Bush, I'm tripping, Trump. He talking about sending all these Haitians back to their own country, right? So they hate you, man. They hate you. I know all the tribes are divided, and and they hate each other. But you know what? Guess what? The so-called white man and other heathen nations hate your guts. It says they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones, which really goes into the wicked elite. They're the ones that take crafty counsel against you, because they set up all these things here in America, to fuck you up, to keep you in the ghettos and the slums, to keep you on welfare, to have these landlords having higher prices where you got to move out where you gonna go, gentrification, the police department, they kill black people, West Indian, Haitian, Native American people, Seminole Indian, Latino, Hispanics people, they just turned off, Con Edison turned off the grid in certain neighborhoods. So now some of these Dominican stores, all their food is going bad, and they think that it's just because of the heat wave. No, they literally cut that shit off, man. They literally cut it off on purpose. It says they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And that's how all these heathens feel about you, man. The so-called white man, Arab man, African man, the East Indian man, the Chinese man, the Arab man. They all feel this way about you, yo. And this is going on from the ancient world all the way to this very day. I know they look down on you. They have no respect for you. And they feel they can do whatever the fuck they want to do to you. I'm talking about you so-called black. I'm talking about you Negroes, West Indian Haitians, Latinos, Native Americans, Hispanics, and Seminole Indians, And they feel they can do whatever the fuck they want to do to you. These Arabs have all these stores over here selling you the hookah and the weed, and the hero sandwich, the rotten camel meat hero sandwiches and so forth. And, it is what it is, because they hate your fucking guts. They don't eat that shit, but they sell it to you. It says, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And you so-called Negroes, West Indian Haitians, Hispanics, Latinos, and Americans, you're the nation of Israel, and they want to cut off your remembrance from the earth. It says, for they have consulted together, which really goes back into the head so-called white people, the wicked elite, the international bankers. They're the ones who set all these policies up in the earth, okay? It says, for they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. So all these, which really goes back into the elites, the international bankers, the people who make the laws over you so-called Negroes, West Indian Haitians, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians. They make the laws over you. Okay? They're the ones who make laws over you. You don't make no fucking laws, man. This fucking hood shit law is all bullshit. Because if hood law was so important, why the hood law get locked up by the law of the so-called fucking white man? So that's all bullshit, man. Alright? And it's going to name the heathen nations, which, all these heathen nations are against us. And it's going to go into it. So all that, I'll obey hood law and no snitching is all this bullshit. Well, the white man eventually, even if they kill you for snitching on a drug block, oh yeah, he sold drugs over there. Guess what? They're going to arrest them niggas too. All right? Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, all right? Haitians, West Indians. You know, so that hood law shit is all bullshit, man. And fuck hood law, man. All right? We dealing with the laws of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Now, I'm not saying if a so-called nigger is selling crack out your building or fentanyl out your building that you're supposed to go to the police. Well, just leave. Just get the fuck up out of there, man. And send prayers and curses up on his ass. All right? All right? And if that nigga do something, do what you got to do, man. Get the fuck up out of there. You know? If niggas is shooting up the block 24 hours a day, guess what? Guess what? Get the fuck up out of there and send curses up on them. So we're going to snitch to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai on all you drug dealer niggas, West Indians, Haitians, Latinos, and Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, man, and Hispanics, all right? That's what we snitching on to you, all right? And if his shit get too crazy and you got to call Popo, man. You know? It says the tabernacles of Edom, which is a so-called white man, and the Ishmaelites, which is the Arabs, Moab, so-called Chinese, and the Hagarenes. You know, so these are all the nations, you know, and it goes down on a list. This is Psalms, the 83rd chapter. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is going to deal with all these heathen nations to deliver you from these heathen nations, man. That's in your ghettos and in your hoods and in your barrios, selling motherfucking you bullshit, rotten food. Okay? And that's what it is, man. All right? So, shalom. Hope you've been edified. And fuck these heathen nations. Shalom.